My dear friend, there's a message burning in my spirit today. One heaven itself has stirred awake within me. To you who are tired, burdened, and unsure of what steps to take. To you who are pushing, straining, and stretching far beyond your limits just to stay above water. Listen closely. God never intended for you to carry the weight that only He is equipped to bear. He didn't carefully form you in your mother's womb for you to spend your life relying on your own strength. He didn't fill your lungs with His breath so you could waste your days trying to control what He's already promised to handle. There is a deeper truth, one that can truly liberate you if you'll let it sink in. Simply be. Let God take care of the rest. That's right. Let that reality rattle your very bones. Let it awaken your spirit. You were never assigned to fix everything. You were never appointed to be the hero of your own crisis. You were never expected to sort out all the details of your future. God never created you to be the ultimate planner, the designer of outcomes, or the director of destiny. That's His role alone. And when you try to take His place, you end up crushed beneath a crown that was never yours to wear. God says in His Word, "Be still and know that I am God." That's not a casual suggestion, my friend. It's a divine instruction. Be still. Stop striving. Stop spiraling. Stop dissecting every possibility until your soul wears thin. Just be present right where you are. With all your doubts, your heartache, your uncertainty, and let God enter in. Let Him take the reins. Let Him be God, because He is far better at it than either of us could ever be. You might say, "But preacher, if I stop fighting, won't everything fall apart?" No. If you stop wrestling in your own strength, you finally allow space for God to battle on your behalf. When you cease pushing forward in your own effort, you'll witness heaven's power rush in like a mighty wind. You're not falling apart, child of the Most High. You're falling into His embrace. How many nights have you laid awake staring at the ceiling, whispering, "Lord, what more can I possibly do?" And heaven responds, not with more striving, but more surrender. Not with more panic, but more praise. Not with more control, but more trust. Just be, my friend. Be still in the peace of faith. Be still in the quiet where God's voice is heard. Be still in the holy simplicity of knowing He still reigns. You may say, "But nothing is happening." Let me tell you this, just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't in motion. When a seed is placed in the soil, it appears lifeless. The surface is still, but underneath, life is erupting. Roots are expanding, structures are taking form, foundations are being set. That's the story of your life right now. You may not see it, but God is aligning everything in the background. Don't tear up what He's nurturing just because the harvest hasn't shown itself yet. God doesn't work by your clock. He doesn't follow your calendar. He is timeless. He is in control. He moves when the timing is perfect, not when fear insists He should. Some of you are worn out, not because life is unbearably difficult, but because you're trying to play God. Set it down. You are His child, not the creator. You're a vessel, not the wellspring. You're the clay, not the one shaping it. Let that reality both humble and elevate you. The God who spoke stars into being doesn't require your constant striving. He desires your heart. He's not looking for your strategies. He's asking for your surrender. He doesn't want your blueprints. He wants your trust. You've been praying again and again, yet peace still escapes you. Do you know why? Because your prayers have been speeches, not surrender. You've been instructing God rather than trusting His divine movements. You've been chasing outcomes instead of worshiping Him in the mystery. Friend, peace isn't discovered in perfect solutions. It's uncovered in total surrender. Just be still, breathe, trust, and let God take over. Some of you are ready to throw in the towel. You say, I can't do this anymore. That's exactly it. You were never meant to carry the whole load. That breaking point, that moment your strength fails and your spirit cries out, that's where God draws near. That's the altar of surrender. That's the moment when your striving ends and His glory takes over. God doesn't work His greatest wonders when we feel strongest. He steps in when you're undone, yielded, fully exposed before Him. That's where resurrection power begins. That's where lives are transformed. You've been asking, how do I find peace? Here's the truth. Stop trying to control everything. Release your grip. Step away from the driver's seat. You're not asked to carry the cross by yourself. Jesus already bore it to Calvary. You're not expected to earn His approval. He gave it freely through the sacrifice of the cross. You're not required to direct His plan. He's written it from the beginning of time. What He asks is simple. Remain in Him. Rest. Believe. Trust. How beautiful it is when a soul lets go of striving and chooses to rest in grace. Grace, not works, not pressure, not performance, but the freely given, unshakable, unconditional love of God that lifts you out of your chaos and places you on solid ground. That's the gospel. That's the truth. That's the power that will carry you through the fiercest storm. Maybe you're in the fire right now. The bills are mounting. The diagnosis was worse than expected. The relationship is cracking. The job is gone. The friendships have vanished. And you're wondering, where is God? I'll tell you. He's right there with you. In the fire, in the storm, in the silence, in the darkest valley. He hasn't abandoned you. He hasn't forgotten you. And He never will. The enemy wants to convince you that your suffering proves God is gone. But let me declare this over you. Your pain is the stage on which God's presence is revealed. Just be, my friend. Stop begging for the exit and begin trusting the process. He is refining you. He is teaching you to lean not on your logic, not on your plans, not on your insight, but on Him alone. Scripture tells us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not depend on your own understanding. Why? Because your insight is finite, but His wisdom knows no bounds. Your perspective is limited, but His design stretches into eternity. Your strength may falter, but His power remains unshakable. You've tried navigating life on your own terms. You've relied on your own judgment. And where has it taken you? Worn out, restless, discouraged, and drained. It is time to let go of the illusion of control and embrace the beauty of divine surrender. Your life is not a puzzle to fix. It is a path to trust, a mystery to welcome, a story being crafted by the author of all things. You say, but I feel like I'm wasting time just sitting here. Let me tell you something. Resting in God is far from doing nothing. It is one of the boldest expressions of faith. It is warfare against worry. It declares to the enemy that your confidence is not in your situation. but in the rock that never moves. It's a cry to heaven that your faith is rooted in the unseen, that you choose to walk by faith, not by what you see. The world urges you to hustle. God calls you to remain. The world tells you to strive. God invites you to rest. The world says, take the reins. God says, place them in my hand. Whose voice will you heed? The loud chaos of culture or the still whisper of the Spirit? One road leads to exhaustion, the other to divine favor. God is not stirred by your packed schedule. He is drawn to your surrendered heart. He doesn't reward those who rely on themselves. He exalts the humble. Those who kneel quietly in surrender will rise clothed in His strength. Some of you have been battling for years, battling anxiety, wrestling with fear, haunted by your past, worried about your future. And now God is speaking, stop wrestling, start resting, stop resisting your tail, and begin walking in trust. Just be. Now listen, child of God, there is a power in surrender that surpasses what your mind can comprehend. The world teaches that power comes through effort, that control is earned through relentless action. From a young age, we're told to push harder, fight through, take charge, and strive for success. But I'm here to tell you, your greatest strength won't come from battling. It comes from yielding. The world preaches control, but God calls you to release it and let Him guide. What a divine contradiction. Because it's in the very moment you yield your will to God that you'll encounter your real strength. It's when you stop clutching the steering wheel and let God take the lead, that's when you enter the realm of His supernatural power. That's when you become a vessel for His presence, a living conduit for His love, His mercy, and His peace. When we try to manage every detail, we chain ourselves to human limits. Our minds become crowded with anxiety, our hearts weighed down by fear, and our souls worn out from constantly striving. But when we surrender control and step forward into the unknown with God, we make room for the endless possibilities that only He can unlock. I want you to hear this clearly. You were never created to carry the weight of this life by yourself. That's why Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. He didn't say, come to me and I'll give you more work. He didn't say, come to me and I'll load you with more responsibilities. No. He said, come to me and I will give you rest. And I want you to understand, rest is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It is a mark of deep faith. When you choose to rest in God, you are showing trust that He is handling everything that matters to you. And resting in God doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of doing it all alone and allowing Him to carry what you were never meant to bear. It means believing in His wisdom, trusting His timing, and yielding to His greater plan. It means letting Him fight the battles you can't win alone. It means releasing your grip on every little detail and opening your heart to His perfect guidance. That, my friend, is where real peace and freedom begin. Some of you are carrying fear. You're afraid of what will happen if you stop trying to stay in control. You're scared things will fall apart if you're not steering every outcome. You think that if you loosen your grip, everything will unravel. But I'm here to tell you, nothing will collapse when God is at the helm. What might fall away are the things never meant to be yours. What may break are the chains of self-dependence that have kept you captive. But God will never let anything that belongs in His divine plan slip from His grasp. There is no fear needed when you rest in his hands. Let me remind you of a story from the Gospels. One night, Jesus and his disciples found themselves in a fierce storm while sailing across a lake. The disciples were terrified, convinced they wouldn't survive. They rowed with all their might, doing everything they could to save themselves. But their strength wasn't enough. And where was Jesus? He was sleeping, resting in the boat. He wasn't worried about the waves. He wasn't shaken by the storm. He wasn't anxious about the thunder or the flashes of lightning. You might wonder, how could he possibly sleep through such a violent storm? Because Jesus knew something the disciples didn't. He knew that as long as he was with them in the boat, the storm could never sink them. And when they woke him in a panic, he didn't rush to fix things. He didn't scramble for a plan. He simply stood up and said, "Peace, be still." And at his word, the wind and the waves bowed in obedience. What did that teach us? It reminded us that during life's storms, it's not about how hard you row or how fiercely you try to fight. It's about trusting that the one who commands the wind and the waves is by your side. And as long as he remains in your boat, the storm will never have the final word. It's not about your strength. It's about his nearness. Just be. Let God take over. You might feel like you're caught in your own personal storm right now. The waves feel overwhelming, the winds are fierce, and you sense that you're going under. But I'm telling you, my friend, when you stop fighting in your own strength and put your faith in God, when you let him steer the sheep, peace will enter. The storm isn't going to last forever. God will hush the winds. He will calm the waves. And he will lead you safely to the shore. But here's the truth. You have to trust that he knows exactly what he's doing. You have to believe he's not asleep. He's never absent from his post. He's never blind to your pain. He knows exactly what you're facing. He sees every tear, every heartache, every whispered prayer. And in his perfect timing, he will walk into your storm and declare peace over it. But first, you need to let go. First, you need to trust him with the outcome. I know some of you have been carrying heavy burdens for years. You've been trying to solve everything, to keep everything together, to manage what can't be managed, and the pressure is overwhelming. But I'm here to say, you don't have to carry it anymore. You were never meant to bear that burden alone. God is calling you to lay it down at his feet. He's inviting you to stop striving and begin surrendering. I understand it's difficult. I know it's not simple. I know how frightening it is to release the things you've held on to for so long, but God never meant for you to live in fear. He never designed you to carry the whole world on your back. The truth is, you weren't created to hold it all, but he can. And when you put your trust in him, when you stop trying to control the result, you'll feel a peace that surpasses every kind of understanding. I sense it deeply in my spirit. Some of you are right at the edge. You've been wrestling, striving, trying to hold everything up on your own. And you're exhausted. You're disheartened. You're ready to walk away. But hear me, the solution is not in pushing harder. The solution is in trusting God more. The breakthrough comes when you release control and allow him to take the lead. When you do that, the peace you've longed for will finally come. The rest your soul is desperate for will meet you there. And when you rest in the Lord, you'll also begin to see that his plan far exceeds anything you could have ever dreamed. You see, your plans are small. Your wisdom is limited, but God's plan is flawless. It's overflowing with hope, rich with promise, and grounded in purpose. When you release your personal agenda and yield to His divine will, He will take you to places beyond anything you ever imagined. He will unlock doors no one can close. He will carve paths where none appear to exist. Let go, dear friend. Let go of anxiety. Let go of the fear. Let go of the urge to control it all and allow God to take over. He will carry you farther than you could ever reach on your own. He will raise you higher than you could ever climb with your own strength. Just be still. Stay near to His presence. Trust in His might and watch Him perform wonders in your life. And I want you to grasp this clearly, beloved. In God's kingdom, it's not the powerful who triumph, it's the surrendered. The world insists that you grind, hustle, and strive until there's nothing left. But in God's way, it's the meek, the brokenhearted, the ones who to the triumph He already prepared for you. Think about it, friend. How many of us have spent endless hours stressing, trying to solve everything, forcing things to work? How many of us have poured out effort only to watch our own strength fall short? How many of us have fought battles that were never meant for us to fight in the first place? We poured so much time and effort into trying to control everything, and what's the result? Exhaustion, discouragement, anxiety. But when we choose to surrender to God, when we stop striving and stop trusting, that's when the miraculous begins to unfold. I want you to open your eyes, both in the natural and in the spiritual. You are surrounded by proof of God's divine orchestration. You see, God is always moving, even when it's hidden from our sight. You might think your circumstances are beyond hope, that your situation cannot be redeemed. But that's a lie from the enemy. God specializes in turning the impossible around. The same God who split the Red Sea, gave sight to the blind, and brought the dead back to life is the same God working in your life today. But here's the key, beloved. You have to stop trying to make everything happen in your own strength. You must stop wrestling with your own blueprint and trust that God's design is far more powerful than anything you could ever imagine. When you stop resisting His will and begin to align your heart with His, that's when His hand begins to move in ways beyond anything you've dreamed. And let me tell you something more. God is never running late. His timing is always exact. We might not always grasp it. We might grow restless. We might long for things to shift immediately, but God's schedule is always right on time. The waiting isn't punishment. It's preparation. God is readying you for what He's about to bring into your life. The longer the wait, the greater the reward, the bigger the miracle, the more powerful the testimony. How often have we heard someone say, I wish I had known then what I understand now? How often have we looked back and realized the times we thought God had forgotten us were actually the moments He was getting us ready for something far better? The wilderness, beloved, is not a place of abandonment. It's a place of transformation. God is refining you, shaping you, molding you, so that when the blessing comes, you'll be ready to carry it. I know it's not easy to wait, but I want to remind you, waiting is never wasted. God is working within you even when it's not visible. He's strengthening your faith. He's deepening your character. He's preparing you for the future. He already has planned for you. So don't grow weary in doing good. Don't let frustration blur your vision. Your breakthrough is on its way, and it's arriving right on schedule. But I also want you to realize this: when you stop striving, You create space for God to work in the lives of others around you. You see, when you release control, you release your grip on other people. You stop trying to change them. You stop trying to manage every outcome. You stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. And that's when God steps in and begins to move in their hearts. There are some of you who are struggling in relationships, trying to change people, trying to fix things that are outside your ability. I want to tell you today, stop trying to control them. Stop trying to change them. Release them into God's hands and believe that He will do the work. God has the ability to soften hearts. He has the power to tear down walls. He has the strength to restore relationships. But it is not your role to fix people. It is your role to love them. It is your role to pray for them. It is your role to pray for them. It is your role to trust God with them. And when you let go of control, you will witness God move in their lives in ways you never could have imagined. This is not only about you and God. It's about you, God, and the people surrounding you. Your surrender, your faith, your trust will influence everyone in your life. When you rest in God, when you stop striving, you allow others the freedom to do the same. You give them permission to believe, to rest, to trust. Your faith becomes a light to those around you, showing them they too can surrender and let God do the rest. So let me ask you, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to stop struggling and start resting in God's promises? Are you ready to believe that His plan for your life is far greater than anything you could ever imagine? If you are, then I tell you this, the moment you let go, the moment you surrender, you will step into the fullness of what God has already prepared for you. Just exist, child of God. Just rest in His presence. Let Him handle the rest. He will open the doors. He will fight the battles. He will bring the breakthrough. He will create a way where there seems to be no way. And when you look back, you will understand that the only thing you ever needed to do was trust Him. I want you to embrace this truth deep in your spirit. God's plan for your life is already unfolding. You don't need to design it. You don't have to control it. Your job is to trust, to yield, to surrender. God is not limited by time. His purposes go beyond the limits of this world. What He has promised to you, He will certainly accomplish. His word declares, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. But so many of us, in our human nature, feel the pressure to make everything happen by ourselves. We believe we must direct every detail, every outcome, as though God is somehow unable to do what He has said. Let me assure you, God is fully capable. In truth, He's the only one who truly is. It's time to stop pushing against what God has already established. You are not alone in this. You have not been left to your own strength. The Creator of the universe is already working on your behalf, and His plan is flawless. When you stop striving, when you release the wheel, you give God the space to guide your life. I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, but remember this, God's timing is never off, and His answers are always right on point. Some of you may be asking, what if I mess up? What if I miss the direction? I want you to take this to heart. When you're walking by faith, when you're seeking God with sincerity, even your missteps are woven into His purpose. God's grace surrounds you. Even in moments where you feel like you've fallen short, God steps in to fill the gap. His strength shines most in your weakness. His grace is more than enough for you. No matter what you're facing, if you rest in him, he will work all things together for your good. Do you believe that today? There is a profound peace that comes when you understand you were never designed to carry the burdens of the world. That weight was never meant for you. The pressure, the stress, the anxiety, the relentless striving, those don't come from God. They are the enemy's tools to weigh you down, to keep you from your true calling. The enemy wants you to think everything depends on your effort. He wants you to fear that if you don't control it all, it will fall apart. But here's the truth. It was never all on you. God holds the reins. And when you let go of your grip, you allow his supernatural power to work in your life. I understand some of you are going through trials that feel impossible to bear. You've prayed, you've held on to hope, yet it feels like nothing is shifting. But I want to reassure you, beloved, God is working behind the scenes. His silence doesn't mean he's not present. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean he isn't active on your behalf. God is not limited by your senses. He works in dimensions beyond our perception. And sometimes the very hardship you're enduring is what he's using to shape you for something far greater than anything you can envision. Your pain, your trials, your difficulties, they are not meaningless. They're part of your preparation. It's through the heat that gold becomes pure. It's through the storm that the ship becomes resilient. It's in the night that the stars shine brightest. So when you feel like quitting, when it seems like everything's falling apart, remember, God is using that very moment to prepare you for a destiny greater than you could ever dream. Do you trust him in the quiet? Do you trust him in the waiting? Can you believe he's still in control even when life feels like it's unraveling? That's the heart of true faith. But I assure you of this: God's purposes never fail. The world may let you down. People might break your trust. But God's word remains unshaken. His promises are certain. God is not asking you to carry your life's burdens on your own. He's inviting you to lay them down at his feet. And when you do, you open yourself to divine possibilities. That mountain you've been trying to move, it's already being moved. That valley you've been walking through, God is right there walking beside you in it. The battle you've been facing, it's already been won. Stop trying to fight with your own strength. Stop carrying the burdens you were never meant to bear. Simply remain in God's grace and allow him to handle the rest. I want you to truly hear this. You are not overlooked. You might feel small. You might feel invisible. You might think you're just one person in a massive world struggling to make any kind of difference. But listen, God sees you. He knows your heart. He understands your pain. He is aware of your desires. He sees the depth of your longing. And he has already made a way for you. But here's the key, beloved. You must trust him enough to release it all. There comes a time when you must stop trying to direct your own future. There comes a moment when you must surrender your hopes, your plans, and your battles into his hands. And when you do, the windows of heaven will open wide. You will experience peace that goes beyond human understanding. You will witness God's hand move in your life in ways you never thought possible. So let me ask, are you ready to release it? Are you ready to stop striving? Are you ready to believe that God is not just able, but eager to fulfill every promise he's made to you? I know it's not easy. I know it feels uncertain. But that's what faith is. to trust without seeing, to believe in what seems impossible, and to surrender fully to the will of our Almighty God. So I encourage you with everything in me, just exist. Take your hands off the controls. Stop pushing for an outcome. Stop laboring over what God has already declared finished. Let God take over. He will guide you. He will provide. He will defend you. Put your confidence in His flawless plan, His perfect timing, His faithful provision, and when you do, you will witness the power of God moving in your life in ways beyond anything you could imagine. Just exist and let God do the rest. The Lord invites us to rest in Him, not because He's unaware of what we face, but because He knows we were never designed to carry it all. Too many of us are walking through life under the weight of stress, trying to handle loads we were never meant to lift. We think we have to manage everything: our money, our health, our relationships, our future. We act like it's all up to us, but the truth is God is sovereign and God is good. He is working in the unseen, orchestrating details far beyond what we can grasp, and He is infinitely more capable than we are. When we yield to God, when we stop trying to do everything ourselves, we create room for His supernatural strength to take over. You are not alone in this walk. You don't need to stress about the how or the when. You only need to focus on the who. And the who is the one who created the stars, the one who speaks and the seas grow still, the one who holds your life in His hands. He is in charge, and He is completely trustworthy. The issue is that too often we fix our eyes on our circumstances. We dwell on what's beyond our control. We obsess over our problems and unintentionally give them more power than they ever deserved. But I want to remind you of something important. Your circumstances do not define who you are. Your situation is passing, but God's love and His purpose for your life are everlasting. He sees the end from the beginning. He is not alarmed by your current struggle. He's already working behind the scenes. But what if, instead of constantly worrying about everything beyond our reach, we chose to trust God with everything we cannot see? What if we spent more time recognizing that He holds our future in His hands and has already gone before us? Just imagine the peace that would overflow in your soul if you truly believed that. Picture the freedom you'd walk in if you loosened your grip, took your hands off every detail, and surrendered it all to God. Some of you may be wondering, how do I trust like that? How do I release my anxiety, my fear, my need to be in control? Let me tell you, it starts with a choice. It is an act of faith. You don't need to know every step, but you do need to decide to trust. Trust doesn't guarantee that storms won't come. It means that when they do, you're confident in the one who commands the storm. Freedom doesn't mean you'll never face unknowns. It means you know the one who holds tomorrow, and He is good. When you choose to trust God, you are choosing peace. You are choosing rest. You are choosing to believe that the one who called you and redeemed you is more than capable of guiding you exactly where He wants you to go. You don't need to have it all figured out. Just exist. Let God take care of the rest. Above all, I want to remind you, beloved, that God's ways are not like ours. His thoughts are far above our own. So many of us try to rush His process. We try to speed up His plan, but God is never in a hurry. His timing is flawless. God doesn't make mistakes. You might be in a season of waiting for a response, a breakthrough, an open door. But let me tell you, Your waiting is not wasted. In fact, it's often in the waiting that God does his deepest work within you. He's shaping you. He's strengthening your trust. He's developing your patience, your endurance, and your faith. Think about Abraham's story. God gave him a promise that he would be the father of many nations, yet he had to wait for years. Sarah, his wife, was barren, and the promise fell out of reach. But Abraham didn't force the promise into being by his own effort. He waited. He believed. And in God's perfect timing, God fulfilled his word. The promise came to pass. What God has declared over your life will come to pass. Not because you forced it into being, but because God is faithful to fulfill his word. And let me assure you, it's no different for you. God has a purpose for your life, a good purpose, a flawless plan. You might not see the path right now, but God is moving behind the scenes. You may not understand the reason for the trials you're walking through, but God is using every part of it for your benefit. And when the time is right, he will bring you into the fullness of his promises. You don't need to know all the details or timelines. You just need to know that God is in control. And he will create a way where none appears to exist. There is a peace that comes when you yield to God's direction, a peace that goes beyond logic. This peace won't always make sense to the world. The world will tell you to push harder, to take charge, to stay in control. But God's peace arrives when we stop fighting and begin to trust. It settles in when we stop striving and start surrendering. When you trust God to handle what you cannot, you'll witness his provision in ways that surpass your imagination. And he will sustain you in the desert. He will unlock doors that no one can close. He will renew your strength when you feel depleted. He will give you insight when you're unsure of what step to take. But you have to release control. And when you allow God to take over, you'll discover a joy that doesn't depend on your situation. It flows from knowing you're walking in his will. Your joy won't rely on what you see with your eyes, but on the deep peace rooted within. You'll be able to face the storms of life with praise in your heart, confident that God is still on the throne. The more time you spend simply existing in God's presence, the more freedom you will feel from trusting him. The more you release, the clearer you'll see God's hand in your life. When you stop striving, when you stop trying to manage it all, you create space for God to move in powerful ways. You'll see doors swing open, broken relationships mended, long lost dreams revived, and the impossible becoming reality. All because you let God handle the rest. I want to remind you again,